Find our new information. This is our way to make our difference and have our voices heard.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the People First podcast. Today we're talking about sex and relationship, which are two important topics for us to discuss. We're very fortunate to welcome both Carla and Claire from Shout About Sex. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you introduce yourself and your job roles?
Yeah. So I'm Carla. I'm Carla Withers. I'm a community learning disability nurse, and I work in Surrey. And it's lovely to be here. So thank you for having me.
And my name's Claire Bates, and I run something called Supported Loving. It's a national network that brings together people who want to improve support for people with learning disabilities around sex and relationships. And thank you for having us.
How did Shout About Sex first get started? And when did you both first get involved?
Okay, so the Shout About Sex events first started in 2024. I went to a community event for people with learning disabilities about health and really enjoyed the atmosphere and the community coming together to learn about different aspects of health for people with learning disabilities. And I kind of thought that it was missing the sex and relationships aspect. And I decided that actually, what about if I create my own community event where we can get people to come along to find out about how people with learning disabilities can learn more about the subject, how the staff can get support, and how families can think about their children and how they can live most fulfilling lives and engage in relationships and having fun. So I decided that I would set up a community event and called it Shout About Sex. And it started in the east of Surrey. So we did it at a college in Nescott, called Nescott College, sorry. And then I ran another event because it was so successful in East Surrey again. And that was in Red Hill Reigate area. And they were both quite successful events. And it was really, really great to see. And a lot of the support, like a lot of the resources that I was showing people around sex and relationships came from Claire's the meetings that I have with Claire and the Supported Loving Network, and a lot of the resources are from her toolkit, which I'm sure she'll talk about soon. So I decided that once I'd done the Shout About Sex in Surrey, that it was such a good idea. Why not branch it out elsewhere? So that's why I got in contact with Claire and said, look, why don't we think about doing this in London?
So I think, Carla, you already said sort of how I got involved. So I run meetings quite a lot, online and in person, that anyone can come to who's interested in learning more about how to support people with learning disabilities better around sex and relationships. And we have meetings where people come and talk about the work they're doing. We have quite a lot of advocacy groups come and talk about things that they've made, resources, like training. But we also have lots of professionals coming to talk about things, how staff can work better. And, we have lots of different people. And we haven't had a big event for a long time. And when a couple of years now. And then when I heard about Carla's event, I thought, let's do something in London. And obviously London's big. And we're having our one in, I've forgotten the name of it. It's in a community centre in Whitechapel, and it's going to be quite big. So it's going to be for about 150 people, I think, 100 people. And the thing that we've managed to do is that we've actually got space for some workshops. So there's not just going to be stalls, there's going to be workshops too, from everything from dating to menopause, like sex, dating, menopause, consent, lots of different topics. So yeah, but it was meant to be in May, but it got cancelled because of the tube strike. So it's been rescheduled for September.
Why did you both want to start running the Shout About Sex events?
So, why, another reason why I did it is because I think it's such an important topic, and I think it goes under the radar a lot. Some people don't think that sex and relationships are important for people with learning disabilities, and I completely disagree. And so that's why I think it's really important that we shout about it, which is why I called it Shout About Sex. Because I think sex is kind of a taboo topic generally, but specifically when it comes to people with learning disabilities. So the more we shout about it, the more we can desensitize people and kind of explain to people that like everybody has the right and the right to the education, and this is how we can help people get their education so that they can live sexual lives and have relationships, and fundamentally let's shout about it and get people thinking about it, because it's a really important area that I don't think is out there enough.
I must admit, when it says to me, it's kind of no, we're not allowed to have, relationships. And I think it really needs to change. So your group is fine, it's wonderful.
So far, there have been events in both Surrey and London. Will they be happening anywhere else this year?
So when I decided to open it up, I decided to put it out there that actually anybody can do a shout about sex in their area. And so far, Devon, Cornwall, and Northern Ireland have done their own shout about sex events that were previous earlier this year and last year. I don't think we have any currently up and coming this year, but if anybody is interested in running their own shout about sex event in their area, they just need to email me. And if anybody is interested in doing any more events this year or starting up their own event, if they email me, I can walk them through how to organise it and how it all works.
There might be another shout about sex in the north of England for supported loving, because I've been asked to do another one in the north, and I've had a very busy year this year. If I can get round to it, we may do another one in the north. We're going to see how the one in September goes. If it goes really well, it might not be this year, but it might be very early next year. So we might take our one up north. So shout about sex and supported loving in sort of maybe around the Manchester area, maybe. Don't hold me to that. It's been a very busy year for me.
Why is it important that people with disabilities can get good and reliable information about sex and relationships?
So when I'm not running supported loving, I'm also an academic. So I'm a researcher, and I've done lots of research over the last probably 15 years now, talking to people with learning disabilities about relationships and sex. And what we found is that lots of people haven't had good education when it comes to sex and relationships. They either didn't learn about it in school, or they didn't learn about things that may be helpful for them, or they didn't learn about things in a way that they were able to understand. And we find that if people don't have good information, sometimes, that means they struggle sometimes to make choices, or things happen that they're a lot safer. People can experience bad things, and if people have better education and support around sex and relationships, that keeps people safer, it keeps them healthier, it keeps them happier, and it's really, really important. And we found that lots of people, maybe younger people, had some sex educated relationships education at school, but I'm talking really young. It was only in 2021 that you had to teach sex and relationships education in special schools, like schools people with learning disabilities, or people that have like special educational needs. So it wasn't actually even taught to lots of people. So we find that lots of people have got big holes in their knowledge about sex and relationships. And so, yeah, we think it's really, really important to try and give people good information so they don't, look online and get, sometimes some information online is really good, like all the stuff on our website is really good, but there's also some really bad information online. So it's about making sure people get good information that they can understand and that someone's there to help them to understand it, maybe if they need a little bit more help.
How do you make the events and information accessible to all?
So a lot of the resources that we are showcasing to people are easy read or like social stories. The posters that we use for advertising are all in like an easy read format. The venues have quieter spaces where people can go if they do get more overwhelmed. There's a lot of pictorial signposting rather than a lot of heavy words. We ensure that when we're looking at a venue and where to have the community event, we think about whether it's wheelchair accessible, and if people can easily get to them if they are using public transport rather than driving.
Quite a lot of our workshops are co-facilitated with people with learning disabilities. Not everyone, not every single one of the workshops, but most of our workshops, I think, have a co-facilitator who also has learning disabilities. So it's a lot of learning disability like advocacy groups and organisations that work with people that are running and with people they support. So I'm hoping, I know these organisations pretty well, so I'm hoping they're going to be nice and accessible. And we try to make them fun. Yeah, we've tried really hard to make the day, fun for people, and there's going to be workshops and people don't have to join them, they can stay in the main space. And yeah, we've got lots of fun stalls with lots of accessible information, things that we're going to be giving away. So yeah.
If someone with a learning disability wanted to talk about having sex in their relationship, where could they go to get that support?
Yeah, I mean, so they can speak to speak to their support workers, open up that conversation. If support workers are unsure on how to have that conversation, then they can be directed to Claire's company and the website that has lots of things on there around helping people start conversations and thinking about where to go for extra support and advice and guidance. People can also go to their sexual health clinic and have conversations there around support they can get, and their local community teams. So there might be nurses or psychologists within the community teams that would be able to help have conversations. Or if not, as we said before, come along to one of Claire's meeting like conferences or the network meetings, and we might be able to help guide conversations and help you signpost to where you might need to go to get some support.
I mean, I was just going to say as well, we work with, there are quite a few teams that come to Supported Loving Network. I mean, obviously I'm based in London. I know there's an organisation here called The Bridge. So they're a specialist sexual health team that work with people with learning disabilities, and they offer support, longer appointment times, and they will talk through the support people need there. There's also, as Carla said, there's some really good resources on there about sex. There's also some, I would also suggest people speak to someone, as you said, Carla, close to them, like if they can, their pet, their family, or their staff, or somebody, who could help get them that sort of support and advice. And there are some like really good resources that people can use. There's one called Relationships Really Matter, which is a really good pack that talks about sex and relationships, and that's from a self-advocacy group called the Unite Group, and that's on a website, and it's a really good, it comes in a box, like a shoe box with all these fun activities, and yeah, it talks a lot about sex and relationships. And there's also books. Kate Reynolds made one called What is Sex? That talks about sex, what it is, and with pictures. There are many things out there that people can look at.
Do you work with other organisations of events.
Yeah. When I set up the Shout About Sex events, I always work with other organisations. I try to see who in the community can also help people learn disabilities around sex and relationships. So I invite the local sexual health team, I invite the local social services team, any advocacy groups in the area, and Oliver McGowan trainers who also talk about advocacy and things. And it's really handy to have people within the organizations in the community to really show how much is out there to support people. And then obviously I linked in with Claire, and the London event is linking in with lots of different organizations across the country, really, isn't it, Claire?
Yeah. And Supported Loving works with people all over England. So, and Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland, but we're mainly based in England. But yeah, so we're lots of different types of organisations as well. So from advocacy groups to like trainers to social care, CQC, Care Quality Commission. I don't know if you know them, they're even coming to our one to do a talk, which I'm interested to hear.
What accessible resources about sex and relationships can you signpost us to help continue the conversation?
So, as I said before, I took a lot of resources from the Supported Loving toolkit. So I have a kind of grab sheet that I call it, an A4 Microsoft Word document full of different resources around sex and relationships. So if people are interested in having that resource, they can email me again, as I said, and I can send it over to them. And within that, I usually signpost over to the supported network, to the mailing list, to the toolkit on the website, because it's amazing and it has lots of different resources and information. And I think I talk about Supported Loving 90% of the time because it is so amazing and resourceful and extremely helpful.
I mean, I'd second that. Obviously, come and have a look. There's all the webinars that we've done before. Some of them probably could do with a revamp. There's webinars, there's the toolkit, there's all the resources, there's organisations you can contact. Like there's not many dating agencies, but there's some on there. There's some LGBT groups on learning disabilities. There's some training organisations that do training and workshops for people. There's lots and lots of different things on there. And I also an email out once a week where I try and get back on top of it. I said it's been a really busy year, where I send out anything that's happening that people have shared across the country about sex and relationships. So any new resources, events, anything important we should know about.
How can people find out more about Shout About Sex?
Yeah, so as I said before, people are welcome to email me. I did a Google search earlier just to see what that came up with. And it does come up with a few different things. It comes up with a BBC article that was written about one of the events. It comes up with the new event that's happening in London, and it has lots of information there. And yeah, I think and if you look on Eventbrite, that's where the tickets have gone for sale, isn't it, for the London event, the Shout About Sex in London with Supported Loving. So that event there are still tickets available, I believe.
I put some new ones on recently.
And is it on the Supported Loving website?
It's not, but it is on Eventbrite. And so if you can put the links to that in the chat, I said there are still tickets left. We've changed our tickets recently, so you have to be someone with a learning disability with a supporter, because we were just getting lots of supporters wanting to come. And we love supporters, but we want more people with learning disabilities to come. So
that's all the time we have for today. Thank you again for sharing this important topic with us. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before you end the show?
I would say keep on shouting about it. The more we talk about it, the better it is, and the more help that people can get. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be able to talk more about such an important topic.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for also letting us come and join. And I would just say come and join Supported Loving. You can join. I think we're on Instagram. And Threads. I don't think we're on, and Facebook, although I don't really use Facebook very much. But we use Instagram and Threads, and sign up to the mailing list. Stay in touch.
Yeah, and I always put up on my LinkedIn, so that's Carla Withers, and I always put up any Shout About Sex events that are coming up or feedback from previous ones, and things like that. So people are welcome to give us a follow on there to see what else is happening.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.
If you enjoyed, follow us on social media to learn more about what we do and our upcoming interviews. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, X and Instagram by searching for the People First podcast. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next time.